This is Capital Live. My name is Steve Kennard. I'm the president of the AI Innovation Association. It's November 20th. We are live from Dallas, Texas, and our usual co-host Lee Bratcher is taking a leave of absence today, but we wanted to bring you a show live because there's a lot going on in the markets, a lot to talk about, also joined by our producer and entrepreneur in resident, JBA. I wanted to start with some market headlines today and really playing off of what we had discussed yesterday, which was the headlines being driven by NVIDIA and the expectations around their earnings. It was no really big surprise that NVIDIA exceeded expectations, as they've done that for successive quarters for a long time now, came out with really stellar report across the board, incredible forward-looking guidance in terms of the revenue they expect, basically saying they can't continue to struggle to meet the demand. They have so many people wanting to buy their GPUs. That's all good news. And in the aftermarkets, it looked like NVIDIA was going to trade up. As we've come into the day of trading, though, we now see NVIDIA retracing. It's now trading down over 1%. The markets are red across the board. And so this kind of bearish trend, unfortunately, appears to be continuing. And part of what we discussed yesterday was asking ourselves, is there anything that NVIDIA can do? Is there any surprise they can provide the market that would turn this corner and kind of end the bear market, the skepticism we've seen, particularly around AI valuations? Ultimately, NVIDIA delivered in terms of a great quarter, and it ends up not being enough, and we're seeing the market trade down today. We do continue to see gold being the kind of haven that everybody's going to, maintaining its position above $4,000 an ounce. Bitcoin, however, continues its downward trade. I also want to focus on some good news, though, in the market, and that's Block, a company that we've talked about before, owner of Cash App and the Square payment terminal. Yesterday, they had their first investor day since 2022, so it was a big event for the company, a lot of hype around that, and their founder, Jack Dorsey, even made an appearance. The stock is trading up today, up about over 2%, though it traded up higher in the day, so a lot of positive response to Block emerging as kind of a leading fintech provider, particularly with their Bitcoin payment ecosystem that they've built up, the user base that they have on Cash App, and starting to deliver AI-powered financial advice through that. And so this is an example of, even in a bear market, we're seeing some companies break through, and Block was able to do that, having a big event yesterday. And we continue to root for Block. I think it's really cool, the products that they're building, and it's good to see them having some success in the market. That's the market headlines, the market momentum. I want to continue on with Kennard's Corner. And in this segment, I kind of pick something out that I think is important that's going on, typically more with a focus on Texas. That is, after all, the name of the show. And today we want to talk about a growing controversy in DART, the Dallas Area Rapid Transit, and some reporting that we've seen from the Dallas Express that's really exposed a lot of things that people were not aware of. And I want to share that that article here. And the big headline there is DART's crime is surging. And we've seen a response there where there's a new commitment for over $24 million to invest in that safety. This comes on the heels of numerous different articles that the Dallas Express has had, revealing a lot of really the financial issues with DART, the billions in debt that have been raised to expand it, the kind of questionable bonuses that have been paid to some of the executives there. And ultimately now you're seeing some response with an investment in safety after a lot of concerns around the services that DART is providing, and particularly as it pertains to the group of cities that use this. So a lot of people don't know Dallas is, of course, the main city that is served by DART, but then you have a number of suburbs around the city of Dallas that increasingly are not seeing a value proposition, and we're even seeing plans to potentially exit the system entirely. I think this is a big financial question that cities are going to continue to ask themselves. And recently, the Dallas Express had a great podcast. I want to encourage everyone, go to dallasexpress.com, listen to the whole thing. It's about an hour long, but I did want to share a video of just a short bit from one of the guests there, which was Texas State Representative Mitch Little, who serves on the Transportation Committee that oversees DART. And I think he had some really good commentary on this. Bryce, can we share that video?
Another article came out on the 29th.
I saw something from Express
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. And it's
mind-boggling. In fact, I think I reposted it.
yes. And
Yeah.
so I thank you for that, because it's the Plano versus DART.
Yeah, I think I saw, if I'm remembering correctly, Sarah, I think Plano has put in 109 million and got 44 million back in service.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yes.
This came up during the session, legislative session, as you know.
Yeah.
And it's very contentious because DART works very.
I think we lost the audio there, but we caught a fair amount of what Representative Little was commenting on this, where you've seen a city like Plano that has a complete disconnect in terms of what they pay into this system and ultimately what they receive in terms of actual services for their citizens. And so the big news there, and I think what's going to start to be felt even within the capital markets, is the city of Plano is the first one to determine to take a vote to the public in May of next year to exit the DART system entirely. And leaders in the city have said, you know, the first choice is really not to exit entirely, but it's gotten to a point where it's just not justifiable from an economic perspective. What makes this really interesting, though, is we've had a pretty significant amount of municipal debt raised in the capital markets to fund an expansion of the DART system. And there are real questions around if you have a city like Plano depart the system and establish that precedent when other cities like Irving, like Carrollton, are facing similar issues of their citizens are simply not receiving services that are commensurate with what they pay in. This could really precipitate some real issues in terms of that debt service and where that market goes. You know, typically municipal debt is borne by one taxing entity. And so this is the first time that we've seen an entity, in this case DART,